There is a bird in Africa that has figured out how to lie. Not instinctively, not accidentally, deliberately, strategically, and with increasingly sophisticated levels of deception depending on who it's trying to fool. And the more scientists study it, the more unsettled they become. Because this bird isn't just conning other animals, it's getting better at it over time. Stay with me, because we're also going to get into how this tiny feathered fraud artist has learned to customize its lies for different victims, why some animals have started to catch on, and what the drongo's response to that absolutely blew researchers' minds. This video might make you look at birds very differently. Meet the fork-tailed drongo. It's a sleek, jet-black bird about the size of a robin, found across sub-Saharan Africa. With its forked tail fanning out behind it and these piercing red eyes, it looks like something out of a Gothic fairy tale. And honestly, that vibe is appropriate, because the drongo has built an entire survival strategy around one thing: stealing other animals' food. But not through force, through lies. Here's how the scam works. The drongo is a genuinely skilled alarm caller. When a real predator shows up, a hawk, a snake, anything dangerous, the drongo sounds the alarm, and every animal in the area listens. Meerkats dive underground, starlings scatter, babblers drop their food and run. The drongo has built up real credibility over years of being a reliable lookout. It's earned trust. And then, very deliberately, it starts spending that trust like stolen cash. When another animal finds something good to eat, a fat beetle, a scorpion, a juicy grub, the drongo watches. It waits for exactly the right moment, and then it screams the alarm call. The other animal panics and bolts, leaving the food behind. The drongo swoops in, grabs the snack, and flies off. False alarm. Every single time. Researchers studying drongos in the Kalahari Desert found that these birds use false alarm calls to steal food successfully about 1 in 4 attempts, and they can steal up to 150 pieces of food in a single day. This is not a bird that occasionally fibs. This is a full-time professional con artist. Now here's where it gets genuinely extraordinary. You might think the victims would catch on quickly, and they do, but the drongo has an answer for that. Scientists discovered something that stopped them cold. The drongo doesn't just have one alarm call, it has dozens. It can mimic the alarm calls of over 45 different species. 45! It can sound like a babbler warning of danger, then a starling, then a hornbill, then something that sounds vaguely like whatever species is currently ignoring it. When a meerkat colony starts to habituate to the drongo's fake alarm, when they've heard it cry wolf enough times that they stop running, the drongo switches species. It plays a completely different voice.
A different animal's warning signal that the meerkats haven't been fooled by yet. It's rotating through a repertoire of fake identities to stay ahead of its victim's growing skepticism. That is not instinct. That is adaptive, strategic deception. That is the kind of cognitive flexibility we usually only attribute to primates. And researchers from the University of Cambridge confirmed it. The drongos weren't randomly cycling through calls. They were tracking which calls had stopped working on specific individuals and switching to new ones. They were reading their audience and adjusting in real time. Let that sink in for a second. A bird the size of your fist is running a long con, managing its reputation, and pivoting its strategy based on the behavioral responses of individual animals. Now, here's the fun tangent you didn't see coming. Drongos have also been caught mimicking human sounds near villages. Creaking gates, the sound of a chicken in distress. One researcher reported a drongo near a campsite that had learned to mimic the exact sound of a zipper opening, specifically to startle people away from food. You cannot make this up. This bird heard a zipper, filed it away as useful, and deployed it as a weapon. The audacity. Let's zoom out for a second, because what the drongo is doing has a name in cognitive science. It's called tactical deception, and it's considered one of the highest indicators of intelligence in the animal kingdom. For a long time, scientists believed that truly tactical deception, where an individual deliberately creates a false belief in another individual's mind to gain an advantage, was something only great apes and humans could do. The drongo blew a hole in that theory. What makes the drongo's deception truly tactical rather than just reflexive is the intentionality behind it. The bird doesn't cry wolf randomly. It waits. It assesses the situation. It chooses the right moment. It selects the right call for the right audience. And when that call stops working, it updates its strategy. This requires a mental model of what another animal believes, what scientists call a theory of mind. And for decades, we thought birds simply didn't have that. The drongo disagrees. There's also a fascinating arms race happening in the bush because of this bird. Some species that live around drongos, particularly southern pied babblers, have started developing what researchers describe as caller-specific skepticism. They've essentially learned that the drongo's shady. They've started taking its alarm calls with a grain of salt, waiting a beat longer before reacting, peeking around to double-check before they abandon their food. They're fact-checking the bird. And in response, the drongo has gotten even more sophisticated, mixing in occasional genuine alarm calls to keep its credibility ratings from tanking completely.
It is managing its own reputation, the way a scam artist might occasionally do something honest just to stay above suspicion. This is ecological warfare, conducted entirely through social manipulation, and it is deeply, deeply strange. And here's the thing that ties all of this together and makes it genuinely profound. The drongo didn't develop this behavior because someone taught it to. It emerged from an evolutionary pressure, the need to survive in a competitive environment, and produced one of the most cognitively complex behavioral strategies ever documented in a non-human, non-primate species. Evolution, given enough time and pressure, doesn't just build stronger beaks or longer legs. Sometimes it builds cunning. Sometimes it builds strategy. Sometimes it builds the ability to look another creature in the eyes and lie. The drongo is not a villain. It's not even particularly cruel by nature's standards. It's just a small bird that found an edge, sharpened it, and kept sharpening it. And the fact that it's still getting smarter, still expanding its repertoire, still adapting to victims who catch on, suggests that this cognitive arms race is far from over. We are watching evolution happen in real time, playing out in the scrubland of the Kalahari, one stolen grub at a time. So here's the question I want to leave you with today. If tactical deception, the ability to deliberately create a false belief in someone else's mind, is a sign of high intelligence, what does it mean that we keep finding it in more and more species? Are we the odd ones out for thinking we had a monopoly on that kind of thinking? Drop your answer in the comments. I genuinely read every single one, and this is the kind of conversation I live for. If this video made you see the natural world a little differently, maybe a little more sideways and suspicious, smash that like button and subscribe so you never miss a fact that turns everything upside down. And if you want to go deeper on animal intelligence that will absolutely ruin your assumptions, check out our video on crow cognition next. Trust me, the birds are up to something.